What's going on, guys? In this video, we're going to be going over the April 2021 Bay Area real estate market update. So whether you're looking to buy a home for yourself or looking to buy an investment property, you definitely need to check out this video. And if this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Sean and I'm a real estate investor, hard money lender, and realtor based in the Bay Area. And on this channel, we go over real estate investing tips, strategies, and current events to help you learn more about the business and to help you become a real estate investing boss. So without further ado, let's hop into the data. We're gonna be looking at the data from the MLS itself to get the actual statistics to see how the market has been performing going into April of 2021. We're gonna be looking at 5 major counties: Santa Clara County, Alameda County, San Mateo County, San Francisco County, and Contra Costa County. We're gonna be checking out single family homes and condos and townhouses and comparing the two asset classes to find out which ones are doing better and how you need to put in your offers to win your bids going forward. So the first one we're gonna go into is Santa Clara County, and we're gonna check out residential single family homes. Alright, so checking out the data, we can see here that March has been pretty good so far. Last month, the average days on market decreased from 22 days to just 16 days. So that means that normally it would take 3 weeks for a property to be on the market to then go pending. Now the average has been reduced to just 16 days. So as you can tell, the market is going really well. The skinny graph here shows the sales price to list price ratio, which means that if you listed a property for a certain amount, this is what it actually sold for. So here you can see that the average sales to list price ratio has increased from 106% to above 108%. Let's click on the data to see the actual number. It looks like it's almost at 109%. So that means that if you were to list a property for just $1 million, then you can expect to sell it for $1,080,000. So this is amazing, and it shows that the market in Santa Clara County for residential homes is very hot. We can take a quick look at the listings by price range. You can see that there's 3 major peaks over in Santa Clara County. You have your entry-level homes in the $800 to $1 million price point. Then you have your tier 2 homes at 1.2 to 1.4, and then you have your high-end homes at $2 million to $3 million, all at around 1,800 listings. If we look at the months of inventory, we can see that there's been a slight decrease in the months of inventory, and that shows that there's an increase in the market velocity. So right here, the months of inventory is just 1 month. So what this statistic means is if there were no more listings on the market, then it would just take 1 month to sell all the active listings right now, and we would just have no more inventory. The lower this number is, the hotter the market is. So next up, we'll look at the number of homes that were for sale versus sold. And we can see here that we actually caught back up and we have sold more properties than we actually put on the market in March. So again, amazing. Properties are just flying off the shelves in Santa Clara County. If we look at the sales price over time, we can see that in March, the sales price has actually increased a little bit. So your average at 1.915, that's amazing to me. I did not expect us to be this high. It's an increase from 1.8 million of last month. So if we look at the sales volume by area, we can see that most of the sales have been done in San Jose, and that makes sense because San Jose is very large and there are a lot of little pockets of San Jose. But afterwards is Palo Alto, then Los Altos, and Sunnyvale. Let's change this time frame actually. Let's look at the past month. Okay, so if we look at where properties have been selling this past month, from March to April of 2021, we can see that we had 742 million of properties that were sold in San Jose. And again, this makes sense because San Jose is so large. And then Palo Alto at 139. Now this makes some sense because Palo Alto homes are generally pretty expensive. And then we had Los Gatos, Sunnyvale, and Los Altos. Well, let's change this actually a little bit to number of sales that were done based on city. So you can see here, most of the properties being sold are in San Jose, 493, and then Sunnyvale, and then Gilroy. So in this past month, if you wanted to flip a home and you wanted something to sell, then you should probably do this in Sunnyvale, Gilroy, or San Jose. And on the very bottom, I guess we had 2 in Alviso and Montesrino. But again, these are really small cities in these areas. Los Altos Hills only had 8 sales. Kind of not surprising because it's a pretty expensive area. But in general, it seems like there's a lot of liquidity in Sunnyvale and Gilroy and Los Gatos. So just stick to these areas if you want to flip houses and you want to make sure your property sells. So let's hop into the condos and townhouse market next. Okay, looking at the condo and townhouse market for the average days on market and sales to list price ratio, we can see here that, again, the average days on market has dropped from 29 to just 27. So not as steep of a drop, but a drop nonetheless. And the average sales to list price ratio has increased from 102% to 102.9%. So a little less than 1% increase here. If we look at the listings here, the average list price is between $400,000 and $1 million. So if we take a look at the months of inventory, we can see that the months of inventory have decreased as well. It's gone from 1.3 to 1.2. So again, not too much of a difference in the condo market for Santa Clara County. All right, taking a look at actives versus sold, we see that there's a pretty good proportion of condos that are on the market versus the ones that are pending and sold. It's definitely not as bad as it was last year. As you can see, like in the beginning of COVID, condos were put on the market and barely anyone was buying them. So this active versus sold ratio was very, very bad, but now it's evened out and this is actually pretty good. So if we checked out condo prices over time, we can see here that it's actually risen. Don't worry about this particular number here because even though it says that April has dropped, I'm recording this on the 1st of April. So there's really no real data here to set a good average. We want to take a look at what it was doing in March. And basically it increased a little bit from an average of $936 to an average of $959,000. So if we look at the number of condos that were sold in the last month, we can see that most of them are in San Jose. Again, not surprising because San Jose is so big. And then 49 in Sunnyvale, 40 in Santa Clara, 33 in Mountain View, and 32 in Milpitas. And the very bottom, 10 in Los Gatos and 10 in Cupertino. So if you happen to be flipping condos and you want to know where the liquidity is, it's going to be in Sunnyvale and Santa Clara. And of course, San Jose. All right, so let's hop into the next county. Let's do Alameda County next. So looking at Alameda County, we have to look at the data here because the graph line is all messed up because of this blip right here. So we can see that we are at 113% sales to list price ratio. The Alameda County has been doing absolutely phenomenally well over the past few months. This means that if a property was listed for $1 million, then you could expect it to sell for $1.138 million. And the average days on market here are just 13 days. And this really sucks because a lot of my clients who are looking for homes can't really afford a single family home in Santa Clara County or San Mateo County. So they look towards the East Bay, like Alameda County and Contra Costa County. But guess what? Everyone else is as well. And that's why your days on market is so low and your sales to list price ratio is so high. People are competing for homes in Alameda County. And if you want to buy a house here, then you have to play the game. You have to compete, put in very strong offers, and just pray that the seller accepts your offer over someone else's. We saw the same thing happening in Santa Clara County a few years ago, and I guess now is Alameda County's turn. Looking at the listings by price range, most of them are going to be in the $600,000 or $800,000 price range, and then you have another peak at 1.2 and 1.4. All right, looking at the months of inventory, it looks like the numbers went down again. So 0.6. If you think about this, if you had no more new listings, then in a little over half a month, all of the inventory would be gone. Alameda County is doing phenomenal right now. If we look at the sales price over time, we can see that the average has increased from 1.2 to 1.25. So even Alameda County is increasing in price. So if we look at the cities where sales have been done, we can see that most of the residential homes have been done in Oakland, Livermore, and Fremont. And on the very bottom is Newark and Alameda. So if you want to be flipping houses and you want to make sure your house sells fast, go sell in Oakland, Livermore, and Fremont. So now moving on to condos and townhouses. Let's take a look and see how they're doing. Wow, what is that? It looks like the sales to list price ratio has skyrocketed and the numbers have decreased here. So unfortunately, it seems like even if you want a condo or townhouse and you're expecting to get a good deal, it's still going to be very competitive. If we look at the data here, the sales to list price ratio has increased from 103% to 105%, and the average days on market has decreased to 21%. All right, so taking a look at the listings, most of them are going to be in this $400,000 to $600,000 price range. Checking on months of inventory, we can see that the months of inventory have decreased to just 0.9 months. So if we look at the sales price over time, we can see that the sales price has increased a little bit from $690 to $708. All right, if we look for the past month where the condos are being sold at, seems like most of them are being sold in Oakland, and then Fremont, and then Hayward. And at the very bottom is San Lorenzo. So now let's go into San Mateo County and look at their statistics. Wow, don't you love these upward trends? So again here, it looks like the average days on market has decreased, and it looks like the sales list price ratio has increased. So now we're at 107%. If we look at their listings here, everything is kind of shifted to the right. Things in San Mateo County are naturally more expensive. So we have peaks at $2 to $3 million, another peak at 1.2, and then a small peak at $800 to $1 million. Looking at their months of inventory, it has decreased as well from 1.7 to 1.2. So if we look at the number of properties that were sale versus sold, so this is pretty good where you have an even number of properties that are active versus sold. As you can see here, this is a sign of a bad market. Well, a bad market for sellers because you have so much inventory and so few people actually buying and closing on homes that eventually prices kind of go down. But then it reverts to something like this. Well, now you actually have a hot market where people are buying as much inventory as there are on the market. So it looks like our discount from COVID might be over, right? People who want to get a good deal should have bought properties in May of last year. So right now it seems like the market's been hot pretty much throughout the entire Bay Area. If we look at the sales price over time, it looks like from February to March, it hasn't increased too much. Again, don't worry about this particular number because it is an April number and there's only been 1 day worth of closing so far, so I would not take this one into account. The average price didn't actually increase that much in terms of percentage, but it has still increased by about $30,000 or so. So looking at the volume where our properties were sold, you can see that San Mateo had 53 properties, Redwood City had 49, and Menlo Park had 38. And on the bottom here, we had Hillsborough at 16. Now let's check out their condos and townhouse market next. So even here, where normally it was doing really poorly at 37 days, now it's gone down to 27 days. And the average sales list price ratio is at 102%. We can see that most of the listings here are going to be in that $600,000 to $800,000 price range and $800,000 to $1 million price range. All right, looking at months of inventory, it's actually gone down to 1.4 months, which is great. Looking at the number of homes that are for sale versus sold, it looks like the numbers aren't quite up there, but they're at least increasing compared to where they were before. If we look at sales price over time, we can see that it has increased a little bit from February. Again, maybe not by too much, $893 versus $935. It's not too bad, it's about 5%. And taking a look at the volume, you can see that most of them are in San Mateo, and then on the very bottom is in Brisbane and Burlingame. So next we're gonna look at San Francisco and check out their market. So it looks like the San Francisco single family market is recovering as well. The average days on market has gone down to 24 days, and the sales to list price ratio has skyrocketed to over 112%. I'm not really sure what's going on with San Francisco, why everyone's trying to buy single family homes, and why there are such crazy bidding wars that you are going at 112.4%. But I guess people are saying that everyone was moving out of San Francisco and people weren't buying places there, but this data proves them wrong. People are buying properties here. If we look at the listings by price range, we have some in 800,000, 1.2 million, and 2 million to 3 million. Checking out the months of inventory, the months of inventory has actually gone down from 2.8 months. And again, this is a sign of a bad market relative to the rest of the Bay Area. In SF, we had 3 months or 2.8 months. Now we're at 1.7. So it's not as strong as it is in Alameda County, but it's still not too bad. Let's look at the number of homes for sale versus sold. And yeah, as you can see, remember what I told you guys before, where you have way more active than you have sales. This is a sign of a slow market. But I guess over time, we're selling properties, we're not putting on too many new ones, and eventually this ratio is getting more in check. If we look at the sales prices over time, it looks like this one actually decreased a little bit from February, but the average is still pretty high. 2.235, that's pretty high. If we look at the places where properties are being sold, we have 20 of them sold in Noe Valley, 17 in Bernal Heights, and 11 in Outer Sunset. And then again, on the very bottom, 8. So it's not too much of a difference here. In San Francisco in general, this is kind of what's going on. I guess if you want to sell most of your properties quickly, do it in Noe Valley or Bernal Heights. All right, let's check out the condo and townhouse market for San Francisco. I'm always excited to see what they have because every month the numbers just go up and down like crazy. So here it looks like the sales to list price ratio has gone up a little bit, and the average days on market has gone down from 63 down to 44. So it no longer takes forever for your property to sell in the market before it gets sold. It only takes a month and a half now. Listings by price range, 600 to 800, 800,000 to a million, and 1.2 to 1.4. Looks like the months of inventory has gone down as well. So before it's at 4.5, back in October it was at 7. Now you're at 2.7, so it's not as bad as it was before. If we look at the number of properties for sale versus sold, like we saw before, this ratio is terrible compared to all the other markets, but it's a little bit better than it was before. So you have 1,051 active and 386 that have been sold. If we look at the sales price over time, we can see that right now they're averaging at 1.35, a little more than last month's at 1.332. If you look at the chart though, so as you can see, we're still not above our peak of 1.4 from July. And here we can see where the condos and townhouses are being sold. South Beach, Intermission, Pacific Heights. All right, so that was the SF market. Let's go into our final one, which is going to be Contra Costa County. So Contra Costa County, unsurprisingly, is doing really well as well. Over 108% and 14 days on market. So properties are flying off the shelf in Contra Costa County as well as in Alameda County. Your listings by price range are going to be in the 400,000 to 600,000 price range. And for months of inventory, it's going to be half a month. And here you can see what a great market looks like, where your number of homes for sale versus sold is inverted from everywhere else. You have more properties sold than there are active properties on the market. Amazing. If we look at the sales price over time, you can see that the market is going up and up and up and up. Again, don't worry about this number, but from here to here, it has still gone up from 1.05 million to 1.15 million. So Contra Costa County's average has increased by around $100,000 over the past month. Fantastic. So let's find out where we should be flipping homes in Contra Costa County. So Danville, apparently Danville's the place to be if you want to flip homes because there was a lot of property sold there. Danville, Concord, Brentwood, and Antioch. These are the places that you want to be if you want to flip a home and you want to make sure that your property sells quickly. If you don't want it to be selling quickly, then buy in El Sobrante or Pinole or Clayton. All right, now finally, let's check out this data for the condo and townhouse market in Contra Costa County. Yeah, and similarly here, you have a skyrocketing sales to list price ratio, and you have 16 days on market. Listings by price range, most of them are in the $200,000 all the way to $800,000 price point. From here, it looks like we have just under 1 month of inventory. And here we see the numbers that are for sale versus sold are pretty much in step. So it's a pretty healthy market here as well. Average sales price over time has increased a little bit from $542 to $584. And looking at where you should be buying and selling condos, Walnut Creek has the most volume at 88, then Concord and San Ramon. And then on the very bottom, you have 4 in Antioch, which surprised me because I thought you would have more than 4 in Antioch. Well, that was the market update for 5 counties in the Bay Area. Let me know what you guys thought about the market update, and if you think the market will continue to increase in this super hot environment, or are we pinning a crash very soon? If you guys have enjoyed this video, do me a quick favor and just take 2 seconds to smash the like button. It'll let YouTube know that you guys enjoy this video and will help me produce more content just like this for you guys. And if you guys are looking for a hard money loan for your fix and flip projects, for your amazing deals that will go super well in this hot market, feel free to contact me. You can schedule a call with me with the link down in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.